They kicked me out, stole my life savings, and then sued me. This is the story of how I severed every toxic tie and finally found my peace. The message flashed across Vera's phone, stark and merciless. You are out. We don't need you anymore. Silas, her father, had sent it to the family group chat, a cruel punctuation mark on decades of silent servitude. Vera didn't flinch. Her heart, long calloused by their casual cruelties, merely tightened with a cold resolve. For years, she had been their architect of convenience, managing their bills, booking their appointments, bailing them out of every self-inflicted financial mess, all while meticulously building her own small, invisible fortress of financial independence. She was their safety net, their unpaid assistant, their emergency fund. And now, suddenly, she was out. The irony wasn't lost on her. This wasn't a discard. It was a release. A flick of her thumb, and Vera removed herself from the chat. A digital severing of ties that felt both liberating and terrifying. No more late-night calls, no more urgent requests for money, no more thinly veiled guilt trips from Alara, her mother, about family duty. For the first time in her 32 years, Vera was truly alone, and the quiet hum of that freedom was intoxicating. She spent the next few days in a haze of newfound autonomy, scheduling her own appointments, planning meals without considering anyone else's preferences, even daring to dream of a small apartment she could finally afford. Her meticulous budgeting had always been her secret weapon, her silent rebellion against their fiscal recklessness. Every spare dollar had gone into a separate, obscure account, her emergency savings, her escape fund. Then came the cold splash of reality. Logging into her bank, a familiar anxiety prickled at her. The balance was wrong. Not just slightly off, but devastatingly, impossibly wrong. The $18,500 she had painstakingly saved, the buffer between her and utter vulnerability, was gone. Not transferred, not invested, but withdrawn in a series of unauthorized transactions. A chilling certainty settled over her. Only her parents had known of that account. Only they had ever seen the password written on a forgotten scrap of paper years ago. The discard was one thing. This was an outright theft, a final, brutal declaration of war. Her hurt solidified into a diamond-hard resolve. Within the hour, Vera was on the phone, her voice steady, precise, and utterly devoid of emotion, speaking to Atticus, the lawyer she'd found online, ready to fight. With Atticus's calm guidance, Vera meticulously compiled her records bank statements, receipts for countless loans, never repaid, utility bills she'd covered for years. Every penny, every obligation laid bare. The demand letter, drafted with surgical precision, landed on her parents' doorstep, a cold, irrefutable claim for the stolen $18,500. Atticus assured her this was merely the first volley, a legal courtesy. He was right. The response was not remorse, but a furious counterassault. Alara, her mother, wasted no time. Social media, her preferred theater, became a battlefield. Vague, emotionally charged posts began appearing, painting Vera as an ungrateful, callous daughter who had abandoned her ailing parents. Friends and distant relatives, unwitting pawns, started sending passive-aggressive messages, hinting at Vera's supposed coldness. The public shaming, orchestrated by the very woman who had stolen from her, was a bitter pill, yet it only solidified Vera's resolve. This wasn't just about money anymore. It was about public defamation and their relentless, self-serving narrative. Then came the legal blow. Silas and Alara filed a shocking countersuit, demanding Vera pay them for decades of family debt. Expenses they now claimed she owed for her upbringing, her education, even basic sustenance. The sheer audacity of it left Vera momentarily breathless, but Atticus only nodded, an almost imperceptible hint of a smile playing on his lips. "Expected," he murmured. "They're trying to shift blame and exhaust you." The breaking point arrived during a fraught phone call with her sister, Lila. Tears, theatrics, and a familiar sense of entitlement laced Lila's voice. "Why are you doing this, Vera? Mom and Dad just needed a little help. You were hiding all that money from them." It was sitting there, useless. The words hung in the air, a devastatingly clear admission. Lila's casual confession, born of pure, unthinking entitlement, confirmed everything. They hadn't borrowed out of desperation. They had taken what they felt was theirs by right, because Vera dared to have a hidden emergency fund. Any lingering flicker of doubt within Vera extinguished. Her family wasn't capable of introspection or regret. They were exploiters through and through. Fueled by this raw, infuriating truth, Vera delved deeper into her meticulous preparation, working tirelessly with Atticus. She would expose every lie, every manipulative twist, every false claim. The battle for justice had truly begun, and Vera was ready for war. The courtroom buzzed with the suppressed tension of a public spectacle. The truth, meticulously unearthed by Atticus and Vera, had begun its relentless leak, spilling damning details of Alara and Silas's financial stability, their numerous hidden assets, and their long history of manipulative exploitation, not just of Vera, but of others. Social media, once Alara's weapon against Vera, now turned on her with brutal efficiency, dissecting her carefully crafted image, exposing the hypocrisy behind her tearful public pronouncements. Faced with overwhelming evidence and the scathing condemnation of a now informed public, Alara and Silas, their faces a mask of crumbling pride, had no choice but to settle. The terms were uncompromising. The full $18,500 stolen from Vera's emergency fund, plus all legal fees, and a non-negotiable, written admission of guilt. Vera, her gaze steady and unwavering, had staunchly refused any offer of a confidential settlement. Their wrongdoings would be etched into public record, a testament to her resolve and their profound entitlement. This wasn't just about money. It was about justice being seen and heard. For a brief, hollow moment, there was silence, then the scratch of pens as the signatures sealed their public disgrace. But liberation, Vera knew, wasn't just a legal document. Her family, seemingly incapable of understanding boundaries, persisted. A few weeks after the settlement, she returned to her old house to collect some remaining belongings, only to find Alara and Lila waiting, an unsettling ambush. Alara, teary-eyed and dramatic, spoke of family reconciliation, while Lila, fidgeting, offered a half-hearted apology that felt more like a plea for renewed access to Vera's resources. Later, manipulative letters arrived, filled with thinly veiled guilt trips and passive-aggressive pleas for contact, each one a fresh assault on the peace Vera was striving to build. That was the final straw. Vera sold the house, severing the last physical ties to her past. She changed her phone number, disconnecting the digital leash they had always held. Without a backward glance, she relocated to a new city, an anonymous haven where her toxic family had no access, no leverage, no presence. There, amidst new streets and unfamiliar faces, a profound, almost spiritual peace settled over her. She realized she no longer needed their apology. She had built her own serenity, unburdened by their endless demands, their emotional blackmail, and their suffocating toxicity. She was truly, finally, free.